There was a beggar who had been sitting by the roadside for over 30 years. One day, a stranger walked by. The beggar mechanically held out his old baseball cap and murmured, "Spare some change?" The stranger said, "I have nothing to give you. What are you sitting on?" The beggar replied, "Nothing. Just an old box I've been sitting on for as long as I can remember." The stranger asked, "Why don't you open it and see what's inside?" The beggar reluctantly opened the box. To his astonishment, he discovered the box was filled with gold. Hello everyone. Welcome to our channel. Today, we are going to dive deep into the bestseller, The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. This book has helped countless individuals find inner peace and happiness. Let's explore how living in the present moment can help us overcome worries and discover our inner treasures. Do you ever feel like when you were young, you couldn't wait to grow up, but once you did, you longed for the carefree days of childhood? The world of adults is full of troubles. People often feel anxious about the future or are unable to shake off the pain and regret from the past. And thinking about the present makes them feel dissatisfied, living in constant torment. Are we really helpless against these endless worries? Is there no way out? How Eckhart discovered the power of the present moment. We've all probably heard of this book. It's a classic in the spiritual reading category, and it was at the top of the New York Times bestseller list. It has sold over 5 million copies worldwide. How did Eckhart, the author of this book, discover the power of the present moment? Eckhart Tolle's Awakening. The Power of Now tells us, just like in the story we heard, we already possess the treasure that can make us happy. We just haven't discovered or tapped into its power. This is the power of now. We can find the strength of peace, stability, and joy, free ourselves from inner turmoil, and regain the lasting sense of peace and happiness that we once lost. How did Eckhart discover the power of now? First, let's share the author's personal experience. Eckhart Tolle was once a researcher and tutor at Cambridge University. However, at the age of 29, he went through a period of extreme anxiety. One night, he suddenly woke up due to anxiety and felt that he could no longer tolerate his state. At that moment, he thought of a profound philosophical question. If I can't live with myself, there must be two of me fighting for control. This thought caused his mind to go blank, and in that instant, he felt an unprecedented sense of peace and fulfillment. However, this state only lasted for 5 months before it disappeared. In order to regain this feeling, Eckhart spent many years exploring and eventually discovered the secret of the power of now. He found that living in the present moment allowed him to maintain a lasting sense of contentment, peace, and fulfillment. Eckhart's experience reminds us of a story from Buddhist enlightenment. A classic story tells of an enlightened monk. One day, someone asked the monk, "Master, what changes did you experience before and after enlightenment?" The monk replied, "A lot has changed. Before enlightenment, I chopped wood, fetched water, and cooked. After enlightenment, I chopped wood, fetched water, and cooked." The person didn't understand, so the monk explained, "Before enlightenment, while chopping wood, I thought about fetching water. While fetching water, I thought about cooking. While cooking, I thought about chopping wood. After enlightenment, when I chop wood, I just think about chopping wood. When I fetch water, I just think about fetching water. When I cook, I just think about cooking." Although we cannot completely detach from secular life like the monk, we can find our own enlightenment in daily life. Living in the present moment seems simple, but it is not easy to truly achieve. Hopefully, through today's sharing, everyone can start to gradually feel and master the power of now and truly live in the present moment. Author Eckhart said, "Most people, even if they have a lot of material possessions, they are constantly looking outward for fulfillment, security, or the residual satisfaction of love. But the truth is, most people think that the things they don't have yet are the most valuable. But they don't realize that they already have something more valuable than that. It's what's inside." The word within is called essence in the book. What is essence? It refers to a person's deepest self and true nature. That is, the self that exists beyond one's name, occupation, and resume. It sounds a bit abstract. Let's take an example to understand. For example, You might introduce yourself as John. But if you take away that name, he might introduce himself as an employee of a Fortune 500 company. If he takes away the job title, he might say, I'm the son of someone. If you take away the kinship or the social status, what's left is what we just described as his own identity. He is the role or form that always exists, no matter how much he changes his identity. In Eckhart's view, the reason why people suffer so much is because they are too far away from our inner being, our essence. So why do we gradually forget who we are? Because we are controlled by the brain. When our mind is at rest, our attention is fully focused on the present moment. That's when we feel the self. When we remain in this state of awareness of the self, we are enlightened. This is when we experience the joy and peace that comes from within. The whole person is filled with spiritual power, peace, and happiness. Thought is the greatest obstacle to enlightenment. Buddha defined enlightenment as the cessation of suffering. The root cause of human suffering is the thinking of our brain. Thinking itself is not the problem. The problem is that we can't control our thinking. Our mind is constantly thinking about our past and worrying about our future. This makes us slaves to our thoughts. So how does thinking get us? Let's talk about identification with the mind and how it creates suffering. The book mentions that identification with the mind means being completely driven by one's thoughts. For example, a person who graduates from college but fails to find a good job and ends up living in a big city may become increasingly anxious seeing the bustling urban life. At this point, they might blame their background, lack of mentors, or interviewers. During reunions, they might misinterpret comments and react aggressively. Identification with the mind prevents us from achieving inner peace, creating a false self that constantly projects shadows of fear and suffering. Eckhart points out that our biggest mistake is identifying with our thoughts, whereas in reality, we are much greater than our minds. The key step towards enlightenment is to free ourselves from identifying with our thoughts. The way to alleviate anxiety and escape suffering is to live in the now. Eckhart describes this conscious observation of the present moment as presence. Presence means always being aware of your thoughts, emotions, and reactions. When we can observe our thoughts, we won't fall into their traps. People often dwell on the past or worry about the future, leading to regret, anxiety, and other negative emotions. By living in the now, we can break free from identification with the mind, focusing our attention on the present moment to feel and accept it. We must try to focus our lives entirely on the present moment. To live in the moment is to be present. We must be constantly aware of whether our attention is going to the past or the future. Don't judge or analyze what you are observing. So how do we know if we're staying present? The most prominent characteristic of being present is to be highly focused on the present moment. This is similar to the Buddhist practice of meditation. Some Zen masters would test a student's level of presence by quietly coming up behind the student and suddenly hit him with a stick. Surprisingly, if the disciple is in a state of imminent disaster, he will feel the master quietly approaching from behind. He could have stopped the master or dodged to the side. But when the disciple is hit, that means he's in a state of mind. That means his body is controlled by his mind, and his true self is dormant. Presence can replace the boredom of waiting and denial of the present. It replaces endless regret or agonizing obsession with the past. Presence demands our full attention. It focuses on the present moment so that daydreaming, thinking, remembering, and waiting have no place. There is no tension or anxiety. There is only presence. And every cell of our entire being is focused on the present. If you find this difficult, start with meditation, which is a simple and effective way to maintain presence. Finally, surrender means unconditionally accepting the present moment, making us more positive and in harmony with the flow of life. Meditation and mindfulness practice. The time before sleep and upon waking in the morning is perfect for meditation and mindfulness practice. First, close your eyes, lie down, and focus your attention on different parts of your body, such as your hands, feet, arms, legs, abdomen, chest, and head. Feel the energy flowing in these areas as intensely as possible, spending about 15 seconds on each part. Then, move your attention from feet to head and head to feet like a wave through your body, repeating several times. We can also practice mindfulness in daily activities. such as feeling the sensation of our feet touching the ground while walking or the feeling of water on our hands while washing our face. The purpose of mindfulness meditation is to awaken our senses, focus on our body's sensations, and find our true self rather than being controlled by wandering thoughts. If you find it hard to focus on your body's internal sensations, start by concentrating on your breathing. Conscious breathing is a powerful form of meditation that gradually helps us stay present and focused on the now. Surrender to the present moment. Surrender means unconditionally accepting the present moment. The term surrender might initially sound passive or fatalistic, but in the context of spiritual practice, it is not. Surrendering doesn't make us passive. It makes us more proactive. Surrender is not about passively enduring any situation in life without making efforts or stopping planning and taking actions. It is about syncing with the flow of life in a simple yet profound way. The only place we can experience the flow of life is in the present moment. So, surrender means unconditionally accepting the present moment, letting go of inner resistance. When there's a gap between what we expect and reality, inner resistance becomes particularly evident. For instance, when a person faces career setbacks or relationship issues, surrender means accepting what has happened, recognizing the need to rise above the situation, and focusing attention on the present moment. Surrender means accepting reality and then taking action, making the best effort to overcome adversity. This is a proactive approach, more powerful than reacting with anger, despair, or anxiety. In his book, author Eckhart offers 2 ways to surrender. The first way is to surrender to the reality of the moment. One must recognize that reality cannot be changed because it has already happened. Then it is a matter of doing what one must do given the situation. If you can accept reality with openness, then there will be no more negativity, no more pain, no more unhappiness. Such a person will live in a state of non-resistance, a state of gratitude and ease without struggle. If you can't do that, you missed the first opportunity. Now there's a second chance to submit. If you cannot accept the external situation, then accept the internal situation. In other words, don't resist the pain or run away from it. Instead, face it and allow it to exist. Observe it without psychologically labeling it. Even embrace it, and then watch as submission transforms your pain into peace. Eckhart's book says that the kind of future a person will experience is largely determined by the quality of how they spend their time in the present. And surrender is the key to positive change. Submission changes ourselves. When we are transformed, our whole world is transformed. For the world is only as we see it, and everybody sees the world differently. We achieve the desired result is the essence of surrender. In fact, much of our suffering comes from resistance, resisting our imperfections or unmet expectations. But often, the challenges in life are opportunities for growth. Now, let's review the key points of the book and discuss how to practice these ideas in our daily lives. First, we need to recognize the root of our suffering. Suffering often comes from our thoughts, which distance us from our true self, or essence. Thought identification is one of the main reasons for our suffering. When we are immersed in our thoughts, we unconsciously live in regret of the past and anxiety about the future. Living in the now is the key solution proposed by Eckhart Tolle. Living in the now means being consciously aware of the present moment, not being controlled by past memories or future worries. Everything happens in the now. The present moment is the only thing that truly exists. Therefore, we must learn to break free from thought identification and focus our attention entirely on the present moment. Many people may find it difficult to live in the now, but Eckhart Tolle offers a simple and effective method: meditation. Through mindfulness meditation, we can better maintain presence and focus on the present moment. This not only helps us reduce anxiety and stress, but also allows us to fully experience each moment of our lives. In summary, living in the now is not just a concept. It is a way of life. I hope today's video helps you better understand and apply the concepts from The Power of Now and find inner peace and happiness in your daily life. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel. See you next time.